Welcome back. I am Dr. Harrington. Today I'll talk about something that sounds simple, almost harmless, yet it's quietly showing up again and again in emergency rooms. A habit, done every day, trusted, routine, automatic. And in seniors, it's becoming a trigger. Not overnight, not dramatically, but slowly, silently. Until one day, it isn't silent anymore. Let's break this down carefully, step by step. Because the danger here isn't obvious, and that's exactly why it's so powerful. Part 1, the pattern. No one noticed for years. Cardiologists have focused on the big, obvious threats: high blood pressure, smoking, cholesterol, diabetes, and yes, those still matter. But something strange started happening. Patients would come in with heart attacks, and on paper, they didn't look like typical high-risk cases. Their cholesterol, controlled, blood pressure, managed, medications taken properly. Yet something was off. When we started digging deeper, a pattern began to emerge. Not from lab tests, not from scans, but from daily routines. What these patients had in common wasn't a disease, it was a habit. A habit so normal that no one questioned it. And that's what makes it dangerous. Because when something feels safe, we stop paying attention to it. We repeat it without thinking. We build our entire day around it. In seniors especially, routines become fixed, predictable, comfortable, but comfort can hide risk. And this particular habit doesn't act like a sudden threat. It doesn't spike your heart rate instantly or cause immediate pain. Instead, it works quietly in the background, day after day, creating tiny shifts inside your body. Shifts that seem harmless at first, but slowly build pressure where it matters most, inside your cardiovascular system, and by the time symptoms appear, the damage is already in motion. Part 2. What happens inside the body? Let's talk about what your heart is actually dealing with. Your cardiovascular system is incredibly sensitive to timing, movement, and blood flow. When everything is balanced, your heart pumps efficiently. Blood circulates smoothly. Oxygen reaches where it needs to go. But when certain patterns are repeated daily, especially in the same time window, your body starts adapting, and not always in a good way. This habit we're talking about interferes with circulation, not dramatically, not all at once, but enough to create a kind of internal traffic jam. Blood flow slows in certain areas, pressure builds unevenly. Your vessels, especially in older adults, become less flexible. Now add one more factor. Age. As we get older, arteries naturally stiffen. The heart has to work harder to push blood through narrower, less elastic pathways. So when a daily habit adds even a small amount of extra strain, it's no longer small. It compounds over weeks, months, years. And here's where it gets serious. When blood flow becomes inconsistent, your body compensates. Your heart rate may spike, blood pressure may fluctuate, and if there are already underlying plaques or blockages, even mild ones, this creates the perfect environment for a cardiac event, not because of one big mistake, but because of repetition. This is how safe habits become silent triggers. Part 3. Why seniors are more vulnerable. Now you might be wondering, why seniors specifically? Why does this habit hit harder after 60? The answer lies in how the body changes with age. First, recovery slows down. In your younger years, your body can handle small stresses and bounce back quickly. Blood vessels adjust, heart rate stabilizes. But after 60, that flexibility decreases. Second, there's something called reduced vascular compliance, meaning your arteries don't expand and contract as easily. So when pressure increases, it stays higher for longer. Third, many seniors are on medications. Some for blood pressure, some for anxiety, some for sleep. And while these medications are helpful, they also interact with your body's natural rhythms. Now imagine combining all of that with a daily habit that subtly disrupts circulation. It's like adding pressure to a system that's already working harder than before. And here's the part most people miss. This habit often happens at the same time every day, which means the stress it creates is repeated, predictably, in the same window. Your body never gets a break from it. Over time, this creates a pattern of strain, and your heart begins to anticipate it. That's when the risk increases. Not randomly, but rhythmically. Part 4. The moment. Everything connects. Now let's bring everything together. We have a daily habit. We have subtle changes in circulation. We have increased vulnerability with age. But what actually turns this into a heart attack trigger? It's the timing and combination of factors. Many cardiac events in seniors don't happen during intense activity. They happen during transitions, moments when the body shifts from one state to another, from rest to activity, from full stomach to digestion, from calm to mild stress. This habit sits right in the middle of one of those transitions. And during that window, your body is already adjusting blood flow, heart rate, and pressure. So when the habit adds extra strain, even slightly, it pushes the system over its limit. And that's when symptoms appear: chest tightness, shortness of breath, dizziness, or in some cases, no warning at all, just a sudden event. And when we look back at these cases, we often see the same sequence, same routine, same timing, same habit, repeated daily, until one day it triggers something irreversible. Part 5. The habit you need to rethink. Now I'm going to tell you what this habit is, and you might be surprised, because it's something many people do without thinking. Going straight to bed or lying down immediately after a heavy dinner. It sounds harmless, even relaxing, but here's what actually happens. After eating, your body directs a large amount of blood to your digestive system. Your heart is already working harder to support digestion. Now when you lie down immediately, circulation shifts, blood distribution changes, pressure dynamics change, and in seniors, especially those with underlying heart conditions, this can reduce efficient blood flow and increase cardiac strain. It can also contribute to acid reflux, which stimulates the vagus nerve and can affect heart rhythm. Over time, this repeated pattern creates stress on the heart, not instantly, but gradually. And in some cases, it becomes the final trigger. What should you do instead? Extended guidance. This doesn't mean you should fear your routine. It means you should re-engineer it, slowly, deliberately, and intelligently. Because your heart doesn't need drastic change. It needs consistency without strain. 1. Respect the golden window. After eating after dinner, your body enters one of the most delicate physiological phases of the entire day. Digestion begins, blood flow shifts, hormones adjust, your nervous system transitions toward rest. This is not a moment to collapse into stillness. It's a moment to support your body's workload. Staying upright for 30 to 60 minutes is not just a suggestion, it's a protective buffer. When you remain upright, gravity assists circulation. Blood distributes more evenly. The heart doesn't have to compensate as aggressively. The digestive system works efficiently without interference. But the key here is not just staying upright. It's how you stay upright. Sitting rigidly in a chair, hunched over a phone or television, isn't ideal either. That posture compresses your abdomen and can restrict circulation. Instead, aim for a relaxed, open posture. Shoulders back, chest open, breathing steady. Think of it as giving your body space to function. 2. The power of the slow walk. Now, let's talk about one of the most underestimated tools in cardiovascular health. A slow walk. Not exercise, not a workout, not something intense, just a gentle rhythmic movement. This single action can transform what happens inside your body after a meal. When you walk slowly, blood circulation improves naturally, glucose levels stabilize, blood pressure remains more controlled, the heart operates in a smoother, more predictable rhythm. But here's the important part. It must be slow, not power walking, not rushing, not climbing stairs aggressively, because intensity right after eating can create its own stress. Instead, think of it like this. You're guiding your body through digestion, not challenging it. 5 to 15 minutes is enough, and over time, this small habit creates a powerful protective effect. 3. Lightening the load at night. Evening meals should not feel like a reward that overwhelms your system. They should feel like a gentle closing chapter to your day. But in reality, many people do the opposite. They eat their heaviest meal at night. Large portions, high fats, heavy carbohydrates, and then immediately rest. This combination is exactly what strains the heart, because now your body is handling digestion of a heavy meal, redistribution of blood flow, reduced movement, a transition towards sleep, all at once. That's a lot to ask, especially from an aging cardiovascular system. Instead, shift your mindset. Dinner should be lighter than lunch, easier to digest, smaller in portion. Focus on lean proteins, vegetables, moderate portions, reduced salt intake. This reduces the burden on your heart during that critical window, and more importantly, it prevents those sudden internal pressure shifts that can trigger complications. 4. The hidden danger of overeating. Overeating doesn't just affect your stomach. It directly impacts your heart. When you eat too much, the stomach expands significantly. It presses upward against the diaphragm. This restricts lung expansion and indirectly increases pressure on the heart. At the same time, your body sends a surge of blood to the digestive system. Now your heart has to pump harder, while operating in a more restricted physical space. This is where things become dangerous, especially in seniors with even mild underlying conditions, because the heart is now working harder, under physical pressure, managing shifting circulation, all simultaneously. And when this pattern repeats daily, it builds stress that doesn't immediately disappear. So the solution isn't complicated, it's awareness. Eat until you are comfortable, not full. That small difference is one of the most powerful protective decisions you can make. 5. Listening to subtle signals. Your body is constantly communicating, but most people only listen when the message becomes loud. Pain, pressure, shortness of breath. By that point, something has already escalated. Instead, you need to tune into the quiet signals. After dinner, ask yourself, do I feel unusually heavy or sluggish? Is there mild tightness in my chest? Am I slightly short of breath? Do I feel an unusual sense of fatigue or restlessness? These are not random sensations. They are early indicators that your body is under strain. And when you notice them, that's your moment to act. Sit upright, walk slowly, adjust your breathing, give your system time to rebalance, because catching these early signals can prevent a much bigger event later. 6. Creating a safer evening routine. Let's bring everything together into a simple, practical flow, a routine that supports your heart instead of stressing it. After dinner, stay upright immediately. Avoid lying down or reclining deeply. Take a slow walk within 10-15 minutes. Keep movement gentle and relaxed. Hydrate moderately, not excessively. Avoid emotional stress or heated discussions. That last point matters more than people realize, because emotional spikes, anger, anxiety, even intense excitement, can increase heart rate and blood pressure right when your system is already under load. Evenings should be calm, predictable, quiet, controlled. 7. The role of breathing. One of the simplest ways to reduce cardiac strain is something you're already doing: breathing. But how you breathe matters. After eating, many people unconsciously take shallow breaths, especially if they're sitting or slouching. This reduces oxygen efficiency and increases subtle stress on the heart. Instead, practice slow, deep breathing. Inhale through your nose, exhale slowly through your mouth. Let your diaphragm expand naturally. This does two powerful things: improves oxygen delivery, activates the parasympathetic nervous system, your body's calm mode, and when your body is calm, your heart doesn't have to fight against unnecessary tension. 8. Small changes, big protection. Here's the truth most people don't want to hear. There is no single dramatic fix, no miracle pill, no instant solution. What protects your heart is what you do every day. And more importantly, what you stop doing. The habit we discussed isn't dangerous because it's extreme. It's dangerous because it's repeated without awareness. That's how most health problems develop. Quietly, gradually, predictably. But the good news? That means they can also be prevented the same way, through small, consistent adjustments. 9. Rewiring. What normal means, the biggest shift you need to make isn't physical, it's mental. Right now, certain routines feel normal. Eat, sit, lie down, rest. But normal isn't always safe. And once you understand that, you gain control, because you start questioning patterns that were once automatic. You become intentional, and intention is what separates risk from prevention. 10. Final thought. Because the most dangerous habits are the ones that feel normal. They don't raise alarms. They don't feel wrong. They don't demand attention. They just quietly repeat every single day until one day your body responds, not with a warning, but with a consequence. And that's what we're trying to prevent, not through fear, but through awareness, because fear creates panic, and panic leads to extremes. People either ignore the problem completely, or they overcorrect in ways that create new risks. Awareness, on the other hand, is calm. It's controlled. It's precise. It allows you to see what's actually happening inside your body without overreacting to it. And when you become aware of your habits, truly aware, something powerful happens. You begin to notice patterns you've ignored for years. You notice how your body feels after certain meals. You notice how quickly you get tired after sitting down. You notice how your breathing changes when you lie down too soon. These are not random experiences. They are signals. And once you start recognizing them, you stop moving through your day on autopilot. You become intentional. Awareness changes timing. One of the biggest benefits of awareness is understanding timing. Most people think in terms of what they do, what they eat, what medications they take, what activities they perform, but very few think about when they do these things. Timing matters more than most people realize. Eating the same meal at different times can have completely different effects on your body. Resting immediately after activity feels good, but can disrupt circulation. Even small shifts in timing can either support your heart or quietly strain it. And awareness gives you control over that timing. You start asking, is this the right moment for this action? That simple question can prevent countless problems. The invisible build-up. Here's something important to understand. Heart-related issues rarely come from a single event. They come from accumulation. Tiny stresses, repeated daily, a heavy meal here, immediate rest there, a slight pressure increase, day after day. Each one feels insignificant on its own. But together, they create a load your heart must carry. And over time, that load becomes heavier, until one day your body can't compensate anymore. That's when symptoms appear. Not because something new happened, but because something old finally reached its limit. Awareness interrupts this process. It breaks the chain. It stops small stresses from stacking into something dangerous. You don't need perfection. Now, let me be very clear. This is not about perfection. You don't need to follow every rule perfectly every single day. You don't need to fear enjoying a meal. You don't need to eliminate comfort from your routine. What you need is balance, consistency, and most importantly, correction when needed. If you occasionally lie down too soon, your body can handle it. But if it becomes a daily pattern, that's where risk grows. So instead of aiming for perfection, aim for awareness-driven adjustment. Catch the habit. Correct it. Move forward. That's how long-term health is built. The role of discipline in small moments. People often think discipline is about big decisions. Going to the gym, following strict diets, making major lifestyle changes. But real discipline shows up in small, quiet moments. The moment after dinner, when you feel like lying down, that's the moment that matters. Because it's easy to give in. It's comfortable, familiar, automatic, but choosing to stay upright, even when you don't feel like it, that's discipline. And that small act, repeated daily, can protect your heart more than dramatic changes that don't last. Environment shapes behavior. Another factor most people overlook is environment. Your surroundings influence your habits more than your intentions. If your routine after dinner is tied to a specific place, like a couch or bed, your body will automatically move toward it. You won't even think about it. So change the environment slightly. Create a different post-dinner space. A chair near a window, a small walking area in your home, a quiet place where you can sit upright comfortably. Even small environmental shifts can break automatic patterns. And once the pattern is broken, awareness takes over. Why this matters more than you think you might be thinking. This is just one habit. Does it really make that big of a difference? The answer is yes. Because this habit doesn't exist in isolation. It interacts with everything else. Your blood pressure, your diet, your sleep, your stress levels, your medications. It becomes part of a larger system. And when one part of that system improves, The entire system benefits. Better circulation after meals leads to better sleep. Better sleep leads to improved recovery. Improved recovery reduces overall cardiac strain. Everything connects, and it all starts with awareness. The long-term payoff. The changes we're talking about today are simple. They don't feel dramatic. They don't give instant results. But over time, they compound. Months from now, your heart will be working more efficiently. Your circulation will be more stable. Your risk of sudden events will be lower, and you won't feel like you made a massive sacrifice to get there, because you didn't. You just became aware. Final reinforcement. Let me bring this back to the core idea. We are not trying to scare you. We are trying to wake you up to what's already happening, because once you see it, you can't unsee it. And that's a good thing, because awareness is control, and control is protection. This is Dr. Harrington. Take care of the small moments, respect your body's signals, and remember, the habits you don't question are often the ones that matter most.